Hi, attorney Gerald Cipolla here, and today I'd like to talk about E-2 investments, and specifically a question we often get is, what's the right type of investment for an E-2 visa? Well, that's sort of a broad question, so I can kind of give some examples. For an E-2, you need a substantial investment. What's substantial? Well, it's something that's not speculative. It's also something, in practical terms, for you to have enough skin in the game. So analyzing those two requirements, a substantial investment is just something that's going to not be speculative. In other words, it's enough to make the investment, the business, successful. It's not something that you can just walk away from. And that's where it leads us to enough skin in the game. So what the consulate wants to make sure of is that the person's not going to come in, get the E-2 visa, and then just not operate the business. They're just going to kind of live their own lives without the E-2 enterprise. So that's what's sort of meant by skin in the game. In a substantial investment, well, you don't want to invest $5,000 where they can just walk away. You want something that's significant, something substantial. And there's no set dollar amount, so something that maybe $50,000 in some cases could get approved if you can show that it's going to have some job creation and it's an active enterprise. It's a tough case, but it's approvable. Something that's $250,000, well, that's certainly a lot of money, but maybe that's not enough to make that business successful. If it's a big sort of factory that you're going to be starting and it needs $5 million in investment, well, $250,000, that's not going to fly. But if the business requires $250,000, or maybe you're contributing the majority of the amount of capital needed, and you need some sort of leverage or a loan, well, $250,000 and maybe $350,000 in total is needed. Well, that's probably substantial. If you can show how the business is going to generate enough cash flow to pay off the debt, as well as make the business successful, add jobs. So there's another issue of non-marginality. So they don't want to make sure that the investor is just going to come in and support themselves, but is also going to contribute to the community, to the economy. And usually that's spelled out in jobs, job creation. Maybe not right away, but at least within a year. 5 years is, you can write that into the business plan, but the sooner the better is the philosophy we take. So specifically, what types of businesses are out there? Well, another factor is you want to make sure that the business is active. So say a real estate business, you wouldn't want to just buy a multi-unit property and then sort of just an armchair investment and live off the rent. That's not active. Maybe it's enough to make the property go, but it's not really a business. But if you're going to start a property management business or a real estate brokerage business, perhaps that could be E-2 viable. If you're going to go buy a franchise, say you're going to go buy a McDonald's or maybe even a Subway, a gas station, those are potentially E-2 viable. Maybe you want to start your own business. Maybe you have a successful import-export business back home and you want to replicate that, or you want to expand it here to the U.S. That's potentially E-2 viable. Again, the devil's in the details, so you just want to make sure on what the numbers are and things like that. But that type of business could lend itself well to an E-2 visa. Maybe you want to buy a Dunkin' Donuts, or maybe you want to start an accounting firm here. Well, an accounting firm doesn't take that much, but if you can show in your business plan, well, you're going to be creating, you're going to be servicing this type of client, you're going to have this many jobs, and you need this much investment. You don't need $5,000 just to buy a few computers and get a desk and get some office space, but you actually need maybe $75,000 because you're going to have 2 support professionals, and in a year or two you're going to hire another accountant. Well, possibly that might be viable. So in terms of what's the right business, well, it's the question kind of gets flipped to you. What's the business that you want to get into? What can you make money at? What can you contribute to the U.S. economy? So as long as you're meeting the right guidelines for the E-2 investment, then showing that it's a substantial investment, that you're going to have enough skin in the game, it's not marginal, and it's an active business. I would base it on your personal preference of how you want to come in here and direct and develop the enterprise. So hopefully that gives you some guidance on what's the right business for an E-2 visa. Again, always run, it requires a lot of risk, financial risk, so always run that past your financial advisor. But if you want to talk about the immigration aspects of your E-2 investment, feel free to give us a call. Thank you.